Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vukenjani Kwenkwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening in the SADC region and beyond. Today and the rest of the week, we shall be delivering the news as you need it. My name is Ashwin Bedi, and this, of course, as usual, is Aina Raiza.
Happy Monday, everyone. We are very excited to be back again on your screen, and even truly, we are excited that today is one of my favorite days. It's Girlfriend Day. Not quite like Valentine's Day. This is about girlfriends. Two different words referencing your friends. Not romantic entanglement, but friendly concourse and relaxation. How many girlfriends do you have? Because I have a lot of them.
I think you really need to split. How many girlfriends do I have? As it says, about
yes,
two.
I've
got some great friends.
And here is more on Girlfriend's Day.
Today is the 2nd of August, and these are the stories making the headlines.
100,000 children in Tigray at risk of death and malnutrition, UNICEF. More than 100,000 children in Tigray, Ethiopia, could suffer from life-threatening severe acute malnutrition in the next 12 months, as tenfold jump over average annual levels, the UN Children's Fund said on Friday. The development comes as UNICEF announced that it had recently reached areas of Tigray that were previously inaccessible owing to insecurity linked nearly 9 months of conflict between the government and those loyal to the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The assessment indicated that 47% of pregnant and breastfeeding women are acutely malnourished, suggesting that they could face more pregnancy-related complications as an increased risk on maternal death during childbirth and the delivery of low birth weight babies, who are much more prone to sickness and death.
In our second story, the global recovery is bypassing the poorest countries. Global GDP is expected to expand 5.6%. Growth in advanced economies is expected to reach 5.4%, the highest rate in nearly 50 years, powered by rapid vaccination and unprecedented fiscal and monetary policy support since the beginning of the pandemic. Almost all advanced economies will go back to their pre-pandemic per capita income levels in 2022. In some parts of the world, clearly, the pandemic's damage is being repaired quickly. Not so in the 74 countries eligible to borrow from the World Bank's International Development Association. These are the world's poorest. They account for roughly half of all people living on less than $1.90 a day. For them, the global recovery is simply nowhere to be seen. In 2021, their growth will be the slowest in more than 2 decades, reversing years of progress in poverty reduction. For them, the harm will not be repaired quickly. By 2030, 1 out of every 4 people here will still be living below the international poverty line.
In our next story, 6 civilians killed, several wounded in the Central African Republic rebel attack. The United Nations peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic says 6 civilians were killed in a rebel attack in the country's northeast. This morning at dawn, elements from Return Reclamation Rehabilitation Group launched a large-scale attack against Central African Army position in the village of Man. The spokesperson of the UN's 12,000-strong MINUSCA mission, quoted as saying by the AFP news agency on Saturday. Several civilians were also wounded in the attack, the spokesperson said. The 3R is one of the several armed groups to have emerged in the Central African Republic, which have been marred by violence since a brutal civil conflict erupted in 2013.
In our next story, Eritrean refugees demand protection amid Tigray war. Eritrean refugees have organized a protest in front of the UN Refugee Agency office in the capital Addis Ababa, demanding the relocation of thousands of refugees from camps in the war-torn Tigray region. About 300 protesters on Thursday blocked a road that led to the UNHCR office, holding signs that said, "Stop abuse of Eritrean refugees and protect the rights of refugees." They also demanded basic humanitarian assistance from the UN agency and its Ethiopian counterpart, Agency for Refugees and Returnees Affairs, for thousands of refugees who have escaped the war zone to Ethiopia. Many of the protesters were from the refugee camps of Hitsat and Shimbela, which housed more than 30,000 refugees, but were shut down in February after being attacked in the wake of an armed rebellion in Ethiopia's Tigray region.
In our next story, fresh charges filed by government authorities against Nigeria's Shiite leader Ibrahim el-Zakzaky. New charges have been filed by the government authorities against acquitted leader of Islamic movement in Nigeria, el-Zakzaky, and his wife Zia. The charges come barely 2 days after Kudana High Court discharged and acquitted the leader. According to the prosecution, the new charges could border on terrorism and treasonable felony. El-Zakzaky and his wife, who were also arrested in 2015, had been facing a range of charges filed by the state in 2018, including aiding, abetting homicide, unlawful assembly, and disruption of public peace.
In our next story, road accident kills 19 in Malawi. At least 19 people were killed in a road accident involving a coaster and 2 trucks that collided in the early hours of Sunday in Malawi's central border district of Ncheu. Spokesperson for Ncheu District Council, Matson Kaiya, confirmed the accident and the death of the 19 people on the country's backbone road M1. In his statement Sunday morning, Kaiya said the coaster with 27 women passengers traveling to Chikwawa, a district down south, is stuck underneath the truck, and that police and hospital emergency rescue teams are already on site after the accident. The spokesperson feared that the death toll may rise as there are serious injuries sustained by the other passengers. In March 2019, 19 people also died in the same district and on the same M1 road when a speeding truck plowed into stationary minibuses and a crowd of people at a roadside market called Campe Pepuza.
In our next story, neither the Security Council nor the AU is grasping the GERD nettle. Diplomatic efforts to resolve the long-simmering dispute between Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan over Ethiopia's Great Dam on the Blue Nile now seems to be stuck. The AU took over as the lead mediator in June last year when South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, as the AU chair, persuaded the 3 disputants not to refer the dispute to the Security Council. But a year of on and off negotiations, first by South Africa and then by the Democratic Republic of Congo as the new AU chair, failed to resolve the grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam dispute. So Egypt and Sudan, backed by the League of Arab States, took it back to the Security Council. But the Council refused to take up the issue and sent it back to the AU.
In our next story, nearly 200 migrants rescued off the Libyan coast. Almost 200 migrants were rescued off the Libyan coast by SOS Mediterranean humanitarian organization on Saturday. The 196 migrants, who mostly came from Syria, Eritrea, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Ghana, were rescued in 4 different operations. There were 28 women among the rescued, at least 2 of whom were pregnant, and 33 minors, including 2 children under the age of 5. Migrant boat departures in overcrowded boats from Libya, Morocco, and Tunisia to Italy, Spain, and other parts of Europe have increased in recent months. According to the United Nations Migration Agency, more than 1,100 people fleeing conflict and poverty in Africa and the Middle East have died this year in the Mediterranean.
Isabel dos Santos must return Gulf shares to Angola, says the court. Isabel dos Santos, a daughter of former Angolan president and Africa's one-time richest woman, must return to Angola her shares in Portugal Gulf energy firm worth 422 million euros, an international arbitration court has ruled. Santos' 7% stake in Gulf is part of the myriad of investments in Angola and former colonial ruler Portugal worth $3 billion, according to the Forbes magazine, that have been under scrutiny. The court's decision, which is dated 23 July and was first reported by the Dutch media late on Thursday, said the purchase of the shares by Dos Santos was illegal.
Next, we are talking about Ghana's massive new national mosque. Ghana's capital, Accra, is now home to West Africa's second biggest mosque. Funded by the Turkish government, Ghana's national mosque is said to be a replica of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. The complex cost at least $10 million, and 15,000 people can worship in the mosque at a time. Decorations include hand-drawn calligraphy of Quran verses, and the Carrara marble exterior fittings and the four minarets are also eye-catching. Since its opening, the mosque has drawn thousands of Muslim and non-Muslim visitors. It includes an imam's residence, a school, a clinic, a library, and a morgue.
In our second last story, the power of radio in Sierra Leone. The interactive radio teaching program that were established during 2014 and 2016 Ebola crisis meant that Sierra Leone was ready to provide distance schooling to millions of students when COVID arrived. These were the years before Zoom calls and online learning platforms for schools. Beside every few household had access to internet technology in Sierra Leone. It was then decided that radio programming would be the most effective method to deliver lessons, as it was cost-effective, engaging, and could easily be adapted to local languages. Using funding from a global partnership for education, 80,000 portable radio sets were distributed to learners in 2014. The best teachers were selected to present compelling lessons to 1.8 million learners, and it all worked well. While the radio teaching program ended when the Ebola crisis was over, the ministry kept the education radio station alive.
In the last of our top stories, Ivory Coast, 90% of the forest cover has disappeared in 60 years. Over the past 60 years, almost 90% of the forest cover has been cleared, making Ivory Coast one of the countries in Africa with the highest annual deforestation rate. And if nothing is done, the inventory notes there will be less than 2 million hectares of forest left in 2035 in Ivory Coast, and more forest in its southern part, excluding protected areas. As for wildlife, the inventory indicates that of the 120 animal species surveyed, only 3 species account for more than 40% of observations. In addition, more than 30 of the animal species targeted by the inventory have joined the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List. 5 of these species are classified as critically endangered. These include the armored crocodile, the panther, and the chimpanzee. All right, those were our first batch of stories. After the break, Aina is going to be talking to the CEO of Namibia Media Holdings, Mr. Albi Bota, about One Up 2. What is that about? Well, one must wait to find out after the break.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. The world of online content engagement is a very congested environment. There's a lot of misinformation on social media, and finding a platform focusing on verified content is very difficult to find. Namibia Media Holding have now created a new platform called OneUp2 to consolidate all our content on one platform. Today we have the CEO of NMH, Master Albi Botta, with us in studio to give us more information on this platform, which is now being launched on Africa Good Morning. Good morning, Master Albi, and welcome to Africa Good Morning.
Good morning. It's really a wonderful morning. Once again, we've made history this morning.
Yes. Now, please give us a small background on what this initiative is all about, OneUp2.
So OneUp2 is a new platform. It's 101up2.com, and it's a platform where you can follow all our daily live streaming. We officially launched it this morning at 7 with Africa Good Morning. And it allows viewers to go to this platform and to follow us daily live. We will continue to be on social media platforms, as you all know, but this platform allows you to know that everything is in one place.
All right, that is fantastic. We are so glad that it's being launched on Africa Good Morning. That means we've made it. Did the pandemic have anything to do with this initiative?
Not really. I think it was a platform that we were always going to create in 4 or 5 years ago already. What the pandemic did, though, is force us to be a lot faster in doing what we needed to do. And more importantly, I think the pandemic, unfortunately, I must say, showed that how misinformation can make it difficult to understand what is the truth.
Yes.
And what that forced us to do was to launch this platform about 6 months earlier than we would have initially, because we saw all of this misinformation taking place.
Yeah, so this initiative has been in the process for a long time. Where will the content for this channel come from?
So I'm very proud that through our daily channels we have over 18 shows, and this has allowed us to create content of over 6-7 hours a day. What this platform will do is stream this live content that we have already. And we will, of course, grow on this content. There's a couple of very interesting initiatives, one of them being OneUp2, the show itself. And I will not elaborate too much right now, but I'm very excited about the show itself called OneUp2.
All right. It's good to know that there are new shows coming to the platform. Can you point out a few highlights on this schedule that we could not miss out? I know you've mentioned that all the other shows will play, but which one is your favorite, and which one would you encourage our viewers not to miss out?
Well, I have to start with Africa Good Morning, otherwise I would be in the wrong space this morning. So as television is, a lot of television is live, like Africa Good Morning. This production that is shot every morning is live. And so we have about 4 live shows every day that will cross over to live. And then, like most television productions, we have a lot of recordings, and these will, as I said earlier, continue to be on social media as well, but at the same time we'll be sharing them on OneUp2 as well. So your daily shows like Africa Good Morning, Active Kids, We Talk, Irongwe Talk, Klets Kompas, NMH at 1, which will be a live show, and then, of course, one of our favorites, Evening Review, will also be there.
Yeah.
What we have done as well is, although, as I said earlier, everything will be on social media, we have packaged everything so that at the Evening Review from 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock, which is primetime television, these shows will be airing for the first time on many of these on OneUp2, and allows those of us that don't have the capacity during the day because of time constraints to be able to watch television at night, knowing that I've watched my favorite show every night. So another very exciting prospect, once we can get in total unlockdown, I call, is that we will be able to stream our weekend sports events live on our platform as well. So just that everybody understands how technology works, a show like this morning is streamed live to social media on our Facebook platforms. We reach about 500,000 people every day. It's also streamed live to YouTube, and as of this morning, it is streamed live to our own platform called OneUp2 as well. So we are now officially streaming on 3 different platforms, a program like Africa Good Morning.
All right. Now, is there anything finally that you would like to say about OneUp2 or just about media in general?
So I think media is a lot more than just shows, and I think that's what One Up Two is going to show you. It's going to show you how you can engage your favorite shows like Africa Good Morning, but more specifically, we're bringing gaming in. You'll be able to follow the news. You'll be able to go to any aspect of what you believe is important for you from a social media perspective. So it becomes your navigator, and that's the whole purpose of One Up Two. That's where the name comes from. We'll share a bit later another day. I know I'm running out of time this morning, where the concept of One Up Two comes from. It's very interesting.
All right. Now, finally, is there any entertainment shows or anything entertainment coming up? Because I see a lot of the content is more news-wise.
Yeah, so we you know, as a good organization like Namibia Media Holdings, our base has been news, and we've developed that news to a level which I'm very proud of. And so yes, entertainment will grow now. It will be part of our strategy. That's why I made that comment earlier about One Up Two, the show itself. We're looking at a lot more entertainment for children under the Active Kids brand. And of course, music. We will have late night music every night. Namibian music. We're promoting our own country. It's important that what people must understand from One Up Two is really to promote and support and financially support is maybe the most important word. Local artists, local actors, and local producers. So ultimately, we're trying to stay as local as possible. I always smile when I see other brands that they've got the license to broadcast, but 90% of their content is not the Republic of Namibia. And of course, we're not just living on an island. We will definitely use international content where it's relevant. But for us, it's really about supporting Namibia in its totality, and that is the whole purpose of One Up Two.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Albi, for your contribution to the growth of the Namibian media space, and also for being here with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, this has been Master Albi Botha, CEO of Namibia Media Holding, who was talking to us about an initiative called One Up Two, which you definitely have to look out for. We'll be right back after the break.
Take our love to the top. If I got it and you want it and you'll never let it drop, all we gotta do is take our love to the top. I will ride for you, baby, even die for you. When I'm loving you, but my heart don't stop.
Africa Good Morning is that place you can trust for decentralized news, making sure that news comes to you exactly where it's coming from. Now, keeping that in mind, we're going to have a chat with Mr. Mike Sichula in Zambia. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Africa, good morning. I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing too?
We are fantastic, Mike. We're going to dive straight into our first story. President Edgar Lungu has ordered for the deployment of defense forces to deal with the security situation in the country. And in a related development, police have arrested 43 people found in possession of an assortment of offensive materials. Could you please tell us more?
Okay, thank you very much. On Friday last week, there was an incident in one of the densely populated compounds in Lusaka called Kanyama compound. In this place, what happened is that rival camps, that is of the members of the ruling party, the PF, and the opposition UPND, collided, and in the process, there was a lot of fighting, leading to the death of two people who are members of the ruling party, the PF. So, following this incident, police raided the area in the evenings of Friday, leading up to Saturday, and in the process, they arrested about 43 people in connection with the death of the two members of the PF, and those who were arrested, the 43, they found them with an assortment of offensive weapons. You talk about catapults, you talk about machetes, knives, crowbars, and one of those who was arrested was found with a resemblance of the military uniform, and they were taken into custody as we speak. Then, in relation to the people that were killed, police arrested 4 people who are suspected to have participated in the murder of the 2 members of the ruling Patriotic Front. So, in following up that event, President Lungu yesterday said he would not allow a situation where police are finding it difficult to maintain law and order. Hence, he directed for the deployment of the Zambia Army, the Zambia National Service, and the Zambia Air Force. That is President Lungu there during a pass-out parade of about 36 officer cadets recently in Livingstone, the tourist capital. So that's the state of affairs now. President Lungu has directed that defense forces should conduct patrols across the country, especially in areas where there are violent scenes of happening as the country goes through the campaign period. So that's how things have turned out to be with 9 days to go before the general elections on 12th August 2021.
All right, now the health authorities have warned private clinics to refrain from charging people seeking to be vaccinated against the coronavirus. Please tell us more.
Yes. Now, in Zambia, the demand for people to get vaccinated against the coronavirus is high, considering that the threat of the third wave of the pandemic really hit the country so hard, such that it brought panic and fear among citizens. Then, with the ongoing vaccination, where now we've got AstraZeneca as well as Sinopharm and Johnson and Johnson vaccines, a lot of people are lining up to get vaccinated with a caution to say there's likely to be another 4th wave. And with the information that has come out from the Ministry of Health suggesting that people who have been vaccinated have higher chances of surviving once infected by the virus, this has increased the demand for people to be administered. Now, what is happening is that some private clinics seem to have taken this as an opportunity to make some extra money by charging, saying they can administer these vaccines at a fee. But the Ministry of Health has said, no. It is not supposed to be like that. They have actually said all the vaccines, both given by government medical institutions as well as private institutions, must be administered to people willing at no cost at all. So this is what is happening, considering that the Ministry of Health, like I've always been saying, targets to increase the vaccination of people to about 8.4 million people out of 18 million Zambians. So that is what the ministry is doing. Then also the target of the Ministry of Health is that the rate of infection should below 5%. Presently, it is about 8%. So the efforts that are being done indicates that the target is going to be reached of having 5% positivity rate going forward.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing us the news from Zambia.
Thank you very much, Africa. Good morning. Do have a blessed week this this August.
We certainly hope to, Mike. Now in Windhoek, I don't want to say it's warmer, I'll just say it's less cold.
Yeah.
Yes, but to be very sure, I'm going to check out the weather forecast with you up next.
I know what I found is bound to be love. It's bound to be
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. It's time for us to dive straight into your economic news stories for the day. And we start off in Lesotho as they look to double government revenue via digitization. Lesotho is looking to double its government revenue despite the impact of the pandemic on the local economy. The country's revenue authority now has the financial backing to fully implement its tax modernization project. This small Southern African nation of 2.1 million people is banking on improved revenue collection for growth. Thabo Kasipe, Commissioner General of Lesotho Revenue Authority, said, "We believe it's quite feasible for us to double our collections by ensuring that we block all the holes to basically reduce leakages, by ensuring that also we modernize in the legislative framework, because we also have a rather generous, overly generous legislative framework that is not very well coordinated."
In our next story, R1 out of every R5 raised in Texas is being used to service South Africa's debt. While government has committed to providing financial help to South Africans impacted by social unrest and COVID-19 lockdowns, the Treasury has made it clear that the country's fiscus is not in great financial shape. In a media briefing this week, Finance Minister Ntinto Mboweni said it is vitally important that the country reflects on its fiscal challenges and how to address them. South Africa's fiscal situation remains serious and should not be conflated with the capacity of advanced economies, as some commentators mistakenly do, he said. Government finances remain at substantial risk, including due to debt burden over 80% of GDP and the rising debt service cost, which now consumes more than R1 out of every R5 raised in Texas. Mboweni said South Africa is not an advanced economy, and he said it is untrue that a government that imprints its economic currency cannot experience a debt crisis.
In our next story, Eskom outlines plan to move away from coal. Eskom Chief Executive Andre de Ruyter laid out a funding plan to help the company, which generates the bulk of South Africa's power from coal, transition away from the use of the dirtiest fossil fuel. He says the company is proposing a multi-lender loan facility from development finance institutions that would be paid out in segments over a number of years. The utility is considering 8,017 megawatts of projects ranging from wind power to solar, hydropower and gas, he said in a presentation to the Presidential Climate Commission on Friday. Eskom and South Africa are under pressure to cut emissions of greenhouse gases and other pollutants as parts of the country are among the world's most polluted, and the utility accounts for about 2/5 of the country's emissions. South Africa is the world's 12th biggest emitter of climate warming gases.
In our next story, Zimra burst massive fuel smuggling syndicate. The Zimbabwe Revenue Authority busted an organized fuel trafficking syndicate after intercepting cross-border trucks to smuggling a total of over 130,000 liters of fuel into the country. The fuel, which was being transported by 3 haulage trucks, has a local market value of approximately $154,000. Zimra indicated that intelligence at the hand points to possible convenience between transporters and their drivers, as well as unscrupulous agents. In a bid to combat cases of fuel smuggling, Zimra introduced security measures where the fuel trucks are sealed at the port of entry, which are subsequently removed at exit point after acquittal process. The sealed trucks are monitored by Zimra via the electronic cargo tracking system.
Those have been our economic news stories for the day. You know what comes up next: economic indicators. It's time for us to give you an update from the Tokyo Olympics. Now, some of you might know this, but Japan is known as the land of the rising sun, which is quite fitting because these Olympics could be the hottest on record. These games have been different in so many ways and are on track to be one of the hottest ever. During these games, temperatures have exceeded 32 degrees on several days, and the heat has been compounded by high humidity levels. Just going for a short morning run in Tokyo in a face mask mask as most other runners do, it is energy sapping. For the athletes pushing their bodies to the absolute limits, then it's a dangerous game. Every outdoor sport has had to adapt. The coaches and athletes have had to find the right balance between exertion and conserving energy. Next up, we are talking boxing Ghana, as boxer Samuel Taki has won Ghana's first Olympic medal since the men's football team won bronze at the 1992 Games in Barcelona. Taki won his featherweight quarterfinal 3-2 on points over Colombia's David Segura to guarantee himself at least a bronze medal in Tokyo. 3 of Ghana's 4 Olympic medals have come in boxing, with Clement Courtney winning a silver in 1960, Eddie Blay and Prince Amati claimed bronzes at the 1964 and 1972 Games respectively. Taki's medal will be the only one for Africa in men's boxing in Tokyo. Next up, we are talking about the men's 10,000 meters. 21-year-old Solomon Barega puts the men's 10,000-meter Olympic gold medal back in the hands of an Ethiopian man for the first time since the 2008 Olympics. With a 53.92 second last lap, Barega held off world record holder Joshua Cheptegei of Uganda for the 27:43.22 victory. Ethiopia's last 2 Olympic champions at 10,000 meters were Haile Gebrselassie in 1996 and 2000, and then Kenenisa Bekele in 2004 and 2008. It is very well known that we have been winners for the 10,000 meter competition, Barega said after the race. Since Kenenisa won last time, we have been unable to achieve a gold medal. I feel really proud to be part of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Cheptegei settled for silver in 27:43 and 63 with his compatriot Jacob Kiplimo just a quarter of a second behind him for the bronze. It marked Uganda's first Olympic medals on the track since 1996. Next up, we are talking about the women's 100 meters. Jamaica still dominate the track, going 1, 2, and 3. Jamaica won all 3 medals in the women's 100 meters, with Elaine Thompson-Herah winning a second successive gold in an Olympic record time of 10.61 seconds. She denied her 34-year-old countrywoman Shelley Ann Fraser-Price from becoming the first woman to ever win 3 Olympic 100-meter sprint golds. The 2 women have now shared the last 4 Olympic sprint gold medals. Fraser-Price, who won gold in Beijing in 2008 and London in 2012, won bronze in Rio and has now added silver after finishing behind the 29-year-old Thompson-Herah in 10.74 seconds. Shericka Jackson made it a Jamaican clean sweep when she took 3rd spot on the podium in a personal best of 10.76 seconds.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Right now, we are going to take a trip to Mzansi, where Ari Houghad is ready to deliver the sports news. Good morning, Ari. How are you doing?
Yes, very good morning, Aina and Ashwin. It's a lovely Monday morning here in Cape Town, and hope it's the same everywhere in Southern Africa where you're listening.
It is definitely the same. Please take the sports away.
Yes, indeed. It was a busy sporting weekend. Let's start with Formula One. It's always exciting, but it's even more exciting. There's a big rivalry all of a sudden with Mercedes-Benz and Red Bull. Red Bull powered by Honda. And this weekend it was the Hungarian Grand Prix, and it was an eventful Grand Prix. Surprise winner there. If the winner wasn't the Mercedes-Benz or a Red Bull driver, it was Alpine Racing Esteban Ocon that won. That was his first win ever in Formula One. It was a very eventful start as well. In the first corner, Valtteri Bottas of Mercedes-Benz, he didn't brake well enough, and he took out quite a few cars including the two Red Bull drivers in that collisions. So in the end, also Lewis Hamilton at one stage had to start way from the back after the team made a mistake with his tires at one stage. But he's a quality driver and he showed his class. Lewis Hamilton there on the right, he came through the field and ended in third position. There was late changes in the results. Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin was placed second, but disqualified late yesterday because they couldn't extract 1 litre of petrol. That is mandatory to have 1 litre of petrol taken from the vehicle after the race. They could only take 0.3. So he's been disqualified, moving Lewis Hamilton up to second. Aston Martin is challenging that. They said that they could get 1.4 litres out of the vehicle. Then Max Verstappen, he ended up in 10th position. He had damage on his vehicle, but it could continue. And so at the moment, Lewis Hamilton, 195 points, leading the points table, and Max Verstappen, 187. And constructors, it's Mercedes-Benz on 303, and then Red Bull Racing, which is actually Honda, 291. On to some cricket news, and it is a decision or announcement made by Ben Stokes of England that's got the cricket world sitting upright. There were a few high-profile sports people lately. Naomi Osaka was one of them that said they're going to take a break from sport because of mental reasons, mental health reasons. Ben Stokes did the same. He said that he's going to take a break, indefinite break from all cricket. That is Test cricket, T20 and 50-over cricket, indefinite break just to get his mental, to attend to his mental health, as he put it. So that's a massive loss for England leading up to the T20 World Cup that's coming up later this year. Not sure if he will be playing then. But for now, he's taking a break, and it just puts again the focus on all the pressure that high-profile sports people are put under to perform. And all the best for Ben Stokes. He's born in New Zealand, plays for England at the moment. And other cricket news: Pakistan and the West Indies. They played the third T20 one-day game yesterday. They didn't play too much. It was, again, rain that influenced that game. West Indies started to bat only 18 runs on the board. Then it was rain again. So that game also didn't continue, so it was rained out. That was the third of the four games they're going to play. At the moment, Pakistan lead the series 1-0. And they're going to play another T20 game tomorrow. And hopefully the weather will clear a little bit there in Guyana in the West Indies for that series to continue. On to some golf news. There was some golf in Northern Ireland. It is the ISPS, that's the World International Tournament, a very unique tournament where the men's and ladies players play at the same course. 144 men's and 144 women players, lady golfers that play in that tournament. They share the purse, $1.5 million each for the men and women to play for. And results coming from that in the men's section, it was Daniel Gavins of England that won the tournament on -13, and David Horsey was second on -12. Great story for Daniel Gavins of England. He's ranked number 453 in the world. So this is a life-changing win for him, obviously getting him exemption on the European Tour for a few years. South African interest, Justin Harding of South Africa, he was tied 7th on -10. He finished with 1 under par last round. And in the ladies section, it was Thailand's Paja Ananarukanua, difficult name to pronounce, but she won the tournament in a playoff against Emma Talley of the USA. The total there was -16, the two of them finished on. And the South African interest lower down, tied for 17th, was Paula Reto on -8. And then to close off, there was a big rugby test in Cape Town, big international interest in that one. It is the British and Irish Lions that played the second test against the Springboks in Cape Town on Saturday. It was an impressive win for the Springboks, coming back after losing the first test. They won the second test in Cape Town by 27 points to 9. That equals the biggest loss of the Lions in recent times, going back about 17 years. And that is Lion Pimpi scoring one of the 2 tries that the Springboks scored. So that's all going down to the third test this coming Saturday, again in Cape Town. It's 1-1 in the series, and that is all to play for. Just news from The camps at the moment is that the citing commissioner only cited one player. There were quite a few incidents in the game. Cheslin Colby got a yellow card. That was suspicious that it might be a red card, but he was cleared. The only citing was the prop of the Lions, Kyle Sinclair. He was cited for biting. There was also allegations for Stuart Hawk that he also bite somebody. There was quite a lot of bite in that game, seems like. But Kyle Sinclair is going to appear before a commission on Tuesday, tomorrow. And then also news from the Springbok camp is that the influential Dwayne Vermeulen of the Bulls, he's going to join. He joined the team yesterday and might be available for the third test. So lots to look forward to. That's the sports news from around the globe. Have a great day and a great week. We talk again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Ari. I was certainly hoping rugby wouldn't have to deal with biting after football dealt with Suarez and boxing dealt with Mike Tyson. That has to stop. But a good result for Boka Boka. Hopefully they can continue that into the next test. This is Still Africa. Good morning. If you missed our top stories at the top of the hour, worry not. Your headlines will be back after the break.
Tell me, baby, do you like the way I move? Come on, get your dance on. We can have as much fun as you can possibly get. We can dance on. Come on, now go ahead, baby. Let's get this game on. Let me see it. Let's get this game on. Oh, yeah. Get it started.
Africa Good Morning has been streaming live from 7 a.m., bringing you news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Here are the headlines from today's top stories. 100,000 children in Tigray at risk of death from malnutrition, according to UNICEF. The global recovery is bypassing the poorest countries. 6 civilians killed, several wounded in Central African Republic rebel attack. Eritrean refugees demand protection amid Tigray war. Lesotho looks to double government revenue via digitization. Tokyo Olympics could be hottest on record, and the brutal toll on athletes makes it a dangerous game. In Formula One motor racing, the Hungarian Grand Prix took place yesterday, and the rivalry between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton continued. Those have been our stories.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Monday edition of Africa Good Morning. We will be back again on your screen tomorrow morning, same time, same place. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter. It's at Africa Good Morning. On that note, do not forget to get vaccinated, wash your hands, and wear your mask. It's all our love and all our light.
Until tomorrow, Swera Jakanaka.